Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. We're live for the Saturday morning Manchester United news and transfer news show. So get in the comments and look, the sun is shining, the weather is sweet. And we've got a little bit of the news that might get your dancing feet moving, and this is to do with Jadon Sancho. So two outlets reporting about Jadon Sancho in the last sort of 24 hours. Spox News, you may never have heard of them. They are a German outlet based in Munich. They're saying that Jadon Sancho wants to leave Borussia Dortmund and there is no prospect of him signing a new contract extension at Dortmund as well. He wants to leave Borussia Dortmund. I might have said he wants to leave Manchester United. He hasn't even signed yet. So he wants to leave Borussia Dortmund, but more importantly, I think he will not sign a contract extension. So this is important because this is just further verification of a lot of what people suspect to be true anyway, that Sancho doesn't want to stay at Dortmund beyond this season. He may have to, and we'll talk about why in a moment. He may have to do that, but the reality is he doesn't want to. He's done his time in Germany. He went there away from the Premier League to develop himself, and now he wants to come back to the Premier League and play, well, hopefully at Manchester United. But the more important thing from this is that it is coming from Germany. It's coming from an outlet that, who knows, but the most important element is that he will not sign a new contract extension, which is similar to Paul Pogba's situation where he's got 2 years left on his contract. If he doesn't sign a new one, next summer he's only got 1 year on his contract. And Dortmund may want to demand 100 million, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but next summer they won't be able to. And if they can pretend that, we're not bothered about not getting 100 million because we get Sancho for another year, he's only going to get better. So if you've got a player who's worth 80 million at the moment, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more because of the financial crisis, and nobody will give you the money that you want, so you think, well, we'll keep him for another year and sell him next summer. He's only going to get better, but he'll only have a year left on his contract, so they will have to sell him for cheaper than now anyway. So from Dortmund, and plus, it's the similar situation to what we have with Pogba. What's the point in keeping a player that doesn't want to really be there, who might play well for you for a year, but is going to go anyway? It's not something you can build a team around. So I think Sancho can drive this position, and I don't think it's as severe as saying I want a transfer request or anything like that, but it's a subtle transfer request because he's making it clear he wants to go and that he won't sign a new contract, and therefore that forces Dortmund's hand. The interesting element to the second part of this story is coming from Goal. Now, take it or leave it, but what they're saying is that Chelsea and Manchester United could find themselves in a position where they can't sign Jadon Sancho this summer because Dortmund won't lower their £100 million asking fee. And of course, the way the world is at the moment, do you want to be perceived as a club that goes and spend £100 million on a player when a lot of people are losing lives, losing livelihoods, and the economy's in a crash? Which is a good point. Perception's really important, and it's very important to Manchester United. I would say perception to Manchester United is a little bit more important than Chelsea at the moment because Manchester United fans have had issues with the ownership of United. United have done a lot of good things over the last few months in relation to charity, the NHS, and a lot of other things. Do they want to now ruin that by being perceived badly? But then again, who do you want to be perceived badly to? It's your fan base that matters. A lot of fans have loved the club blanking out Manchester and making it NHS. A lot of fans have loved what the club have been doing around the charities. And a lot of fans would love the club if they went and bought Jadon Sancho. So perception is a bit of a funny argument, really. And I don't mean funny in the laughing ha-ha sense. I mean funny in the way that it can go either way. And the reality is, if United went and bought Jadon Sancho for £90 million, would I be sat here going, that's immoral? I know somebody who's lost their pub. I know somebody who's lost their restaurant. I know somebody who died of coronavirus, unfortunately. Is that going to make me think United have been insensitive? Probably not, because ultimately, football is our passion, it's our escapism. And if Manchester United go and buy Jadon Sancho, that's going to make us feel a little bit better in a time where we felt bad. So perception is perception important in relation to Manchester United? Away from Manchester United, surely the most important people's opinions are the fans of the club. And I think if United went and spent 80 million on Jadon Sancho, there'd be very few United fans who go, that's immoral, there's a financial crash. So I don't necessarily agree with that argument. I think the situation with Sancho, when you take those two stories together, and I'm interested to see what you lot think, I still think we are where we are. I still think what I said. I still think what Fabrizio Romano said. I still think what David Ornstein said. I still think what a lot of people have said. United are at the front of the queue to do a deal with Dortmund. Sancho will come to United if we can get top four football. He may come without it, and United have got the money to do the deal. That's where we're at, and I think that when you add into the equation that, Sancho wants to leave and he won't sign in a contract extension, it's only a strong position to be in, and that's the only position we can be at the moment because there's still games to be played, hopefully, and we're not in a transfer window yet. So it's looking good. Morning, pal. Would you take Cantwell if Pogba stays? I'd prefer to play someone like that over Lingard and Andreas, says Wayne Collis. Look, Todd Cantwell's a very nice guy. He's a very likeable guy. He came on the channel, so I think we've all got a warm feeling towards him. But he's a talented player as well. Is he any better than Pereira and Lingard? I don't know. I mean, I would probably say yes, but Norwich is a big difference to Manchester United. Mark, does it matter if United sign players? Next season with no fans in grounds and stop-start season are really that excited about seeing Sancho, says Joshua Harper. Well, there you go. There you go. That's the other side of the coin. I saw something this morning that worried me a little bit about the infection rate in the UK, and if it goes up, we won't even see Premier League coming back this summer. So, and who knows if there's going to be a second wave. I think you've got to hope that a vaccine or suppression of this virus will occur and that we will get fans back in football grounds by the autumn. But it could, Joshua, go the different way. We are... As I said last night, look, the sun is shining, the weather is sweet, but please don't go out there and start, having barbecues and parties and things like that. If I had a drink last night with a couple of friends via Zoom, and they were talking about like people are having barbecues this weekend, and I said I ain't going anywhere near them, because ultimately I'm not going to do something just because somebody else is doing it. I'm not a bloody sheep. I'm not going to do that. The reality is I don't want my friends, my family to get this virus. And also, let's be honest, I don't want to get it either. I know the chances of me or somebody younger than me dying from it or being seriously ill are low, but it's still a chance. And also, I could pass it on to somebody else. This virus is still here. It's still here and it's still deadly. And people seem to think that it was a game show. Some sort of horrific game show where if you got picked, you got killed or you got seriously ill. And now that game show's finished its series. It's not. It's still there. It's horrific. It's still there. And people are wandering around like it's not. And maybe that comes down to governments of this world, governments of this country, not putting a stronger message out. But I'll tell you what, for me, nothing's changed from April and March. We have still got this virus. It's still very dangerous. And I'm still social distancing as much as I can. I don't want to be near people. I don't want to be near crowds. And I think that is something that we need to keep doing. My point is, does it not matter? Joshua Harper says, my point is, does next season matter? Look at this season. Liverpool winning the league, no fans, no trophy parade. Is it that exciting? Well, yeah, I do. I disagree with you there. I mean, look, I respect your opinion. That's the way it works. And, this is a very delicate subject, as we know. And respect of both sides is very important. But I put a tweet out this morning. Leicester are 8 points ahead of us. Chelsea are 3 points ahead of us. And they've both got harder run-ins than us. So we could finish third this season. We should finish fourth, hopefully. We've got games... I'm very excited. I don't care about Liverpool. I'm not a Liverpool fan. They deserve to win the league. Well done, Liverpool. That's the end of my conversation, and there's no meaning to it, because I don't want Liverpool to win the league, but they're going to win it. I can't do anything about it. My focus is on that race for top four, getting in the Champions League. I am excited about that. Put my hand up and say sorry if I'm the only one, but I'm very excited about the Premier League coming back. I am. I can't help that. Football's been around my life for over 30 years, and this is the longest period I haven't had football. I can't wait to get it back. It's got to be safe though, and it might not come back. Can't bring up morals after United did charity work. Number one can bring up morals, says Matt. Thank you very much. No one can bring up morals after United's charity work. Thank you. So, also, we've spoken about Sancho. I can recap that in a minute, but let's talk about Ighalo for a moment. Simon Stone, BBC journalist, he said that the deadline... Well, he's right. It's the 31st of May tomorrow. The deadline for Ighalo's loan deal is tomorrow. So we should be getting some news coming in the next 24 to 48 hours about Ighalo, because effectively, on Monday, he could be out of Manchester United. I'm 100% sure that he will be staying and we will sort a deal out. I'd be absolutely stunned if he ends up going back to China or not playing for Manchester United again, because getting into China is not that easy for him anyway, but ultimately he wants to stay at United. He's enjoying this loan period. We want him to stay, and I think Shanghai will just accept that that's the logical situation for the next 2 months. That will be done. Could be announced today, could be announced tomorrow, maybe Monday morning, but his loan deal is up tomorrow night, Ighalo. So we're going to get a decision one way or the other. I think he will stay, and I think that's what we all want to stay. I don't want him to stay long term, but I definitely want him to stay for the next 9 games, because like we were talking about last night, when you've got 12 games to play, potentially 12 games to play in 6 weeks, and players haven't played for 3 months, you're going to get injuries, you're going to get fatigue, you're going to need a Ighalo. So we do need him to stay, and I think he will. Long time no speak, Mark, says Buster Nut. The rich are the rich. Yes, it's sad about shops and losing lives, but no time for sentiment. We need to catch up. And didn't Ollie say United would take advantage of this situation? He did, more or less. So let's see what happens with that. Any news on when the transfer window opens, says Martin the Dane. No, I just think it will be I think it will have to be a long transfer window. I think it will be August time, and I think it might open. I mean, look, do you seriously think we're going to get Premier League football back in June till the end of July, and then we're going to play Europa League and Champions League in August, then we're going to start a new season in September? I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is we will get Premier League football back. We'll get it done by the end of July. We might get Europa League and Champions League done. They'll try and start a new season, but I suspect there might be a second spike naturally because you get more flu in the winter, and I think we might have an off season again for 3 months, and in which case they could do a transfer window then. I think they would have liked to have opened the transfer window over the last 3 months for something to happen, but because people were adjusting to lockdown and because seasons hadn't completed, it made it complicated. I think if everyone completes, once the seasons have been completed or cancelled, I think they will open up the transfer window, and it could be open for a number of months because you can't shorten the transfer window. And Matthew says that, Mark, it's not our fault that other teams can't afford players and we can. I feel we should take advantage of the pandemic and go in for Sancho regardless. I agree with you on that one. And if we can't get Sancho, we should switch the formation and get him the next transfer window, says Datty. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Football without fans could make players play ball, and with neutral grounds, it makes football far fair in the sense of neutral grounds and no fan opinions, Mark, about that, says Rex. I think that neutral grounds and football grounds without fans changes the dynamic of football. I think we will get fans back in the ground. I don't know when, but we will get football fans back in the ground. And when we do get them back in the ground, you'll see a change in football again. I've seen it in the Bundesliga. There's a relaxation in the way people are playing. It's still intense, but there's not the crowd. They're not feeding off a crowd. They're not feeding off a bad miss. They're not feeding off a great goal and adrenaline. It's very professional football at the moment, and people are sort of in a relaxed professional mood. And I think you will see that in the Premier League as well. It's going to be interesting how it plays out, because I think there will be some weird results, and I think there will be some teams that were doing badly before this break that start doing well, and there will be teams that were doing well that might drop off a bit. I hope it's not Manchester United. I think we will be fine. I think quality will rise to the top more without fans than it is with fans, because you think about United going to Norwich or Bramall Lane, the crowd are against us. That's not going to be there. So the quality, they don't have that advantage. So the quality should shine through. But it's going to be interesting, definitely. In other news, I think Rojo's going to stay in Argentina. There's a lot of talk about that. I mean, to be honest with you, Rojo's a bit like Sanchez to me. I forget that he's even part of the club anymore, and I certainly don't see him as being part of the club. So if we can offload Rojo for, it's another little bit of money, isn't it? We talk about Smalling 15 million, maybe Lingard 20 million, maybe get rid of Jones for 10 million, and you're suddenly getting close to 50 million. Get another 10 million for Rojo, you're up to 60 million. So these little, it's more important to get rid of the wages, more important to get rid of the deadwood, but it's nice to start building up a little bit of a transfer fund that can go towards players as well, because that net spend is always very important to Manchester United. Please do smash a like on the video if you're watching, and make sure you share the video as well while we're live. Would you keep Smalling, Mark, says Crosley? No, I don't think Chris Smalling is a player that I necessarily would be thinking about keeping at Manchester United. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a player that I would keep. I think there's a value to Smalling. I think Smalling's done what you want your players to do on loan that you don't want anymore. He's gone out. He's proved himself to be one of the best centre-backs in Europe. Like it or not, he has. And he's shown a value to a buyer. So there won't be any shortage of buyers for Smalling because he's had such a good season. So from United's point of view, that's good. We don't need Smalling anymore. We wish him all the best. We're glad that he's done well, and he has got a value. Phil Jones, we don't want him anymore because he's not good enough. I think even Ollie's realised that now. And he's on quite good wages on a long contract. Does he have a value? Because nobody wants him. He might have to go on a loan and do what Smalling's done, and then we sell him in a year's time. We might get lucky. We might sell him. Alexis Sanchez, virtually impossible to sell. Rojo, we might have to take a cheap price for Rojo because of where in Argentina there's not a lot of money. But yeah, Smalling's been a really good job on loan, and I do wish him all the best, but I don't see a future at Manchester United, if I'm honest with you. Rojo, Bellingham, Dembele. Let's talk about Moussa Dembele, because L'Équipe, who were talking about Manchester United yesterday, they're also talking about Arsenal being in for Moussa Dembele of Lyon as well. Aubameyang looking like he could leave Arsenal, so Arsenal will be obviously looking for a striker, and they probably get about the same price they get for Aubameyang as they have to play for Dembele. And I could see Moussa Dembele at Arsenal, mainly because he's at Arsenal on my FIFA career mode, but not. No, I think Arsenal buying French strikers is not something they haven't done in the past, and they've certainly bought players from Lyon in the past. So Moussa Dembele to Arsenal probably makes more sense than Manchester United or Chelsea. It doesn't mean that Manchester United or Chelsea won't sign him, but I could see Arsenal doing that deal. My only reservation is I don't know how this works for any Premier League club who's asked their players to take a pay cut, but is then going to buy players in the summer. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me, but I'm sure clubs will do it. If Aubameyang leads Arsenal, they're going to need a striker unless they're going to gamble on the players they've got, like Martinelli coming through. So Moussa Dembele could end up at Arsenal. I mean, Moussa Dembele is not the sort of player that I'm going to have sleepless nights about if he goes to Chelsea or Arsenal. And if he comes to us, look, I think he might be a decent signing. But I don't think Moussa Dembele is on the quality of a Timo Werner or a Jadon Sancho. I think he's a decent striker who might do quite well in the Premier League as a goal scorer, but I certainly don't think he's going to come into United and shift Martial out of the team or Rashford or anything like that. I think he's a good striker, but I don't think I think he's a better striker than Ighalo, and I think he's definitely a better striker than Josh King. But I don't think he comes into the team and you go, wow, he's going to be our number one striker. He could do that. He could fill those boots, but I don't think he'd come in with that reputation. He might think he's got it, but I don't think he would. Whereas I think if he did get a Timo Werner, he would come in and expect to be starting and probably be good. Should we buy Saul or Partey, says Riz. Well, I think Manchester United should sign a lot of players. Whether they do sign a lot of players or not, I don't know. Bayern watch along today for That's Football, says Mr. Beast. I'm doing a watch along for Dortmund tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I haven't decided whether to do a watch along for the Bundesliga today because, let's be honest, Bayern Munich are going to win that game quite comfortably. But I might do it. I'll see how I feel about that later on. The transfer window is September the 5th to October the 1st, says Abdul Akhtar. I don't know. That would be, but I don't agree with that, Abdul. Actually, I've not heard that, and I don't agree with it because why should the transfer window be shortened in the summer? That's not fair. That isn't fair, and that actually hinders Manchester United because if the summer transfer window, which is normally open for 3 months, is now shortened to 1 month, that's a load of crap because we've just had 1 month in January. Why would we only have 1 month now? It's got to be longer than a month, and you know why I'm getting stressed about this because I know United take about 6 weeks to do a deal. And they don't do deals alongside each other. And that's in relation to selling and buying. So how in a month could we sell Smalling, Rojo, Lingard, Jones, buy Sancho, Bellingham and a striker? We ain't doing 7 deals in a month. So we need that transfer window to be 3 months. And even then we won't get 7 deals done. So yeah, I'd be really against that. It's not right. And look, we're walking into an unprecedented world here and maybe it will be down to a month. But it doesn't sit right with me that hinders United. You know, you talk about we could take advantage of this transfer window because a lot of people won't have money and we could get more than we want. But we can't get more than we want if they shorten the transfer window because of it. That would be unfair. That would actually disadvantage clubs who can take advantage of this. So instead of a normal transfer window for 3 months and no lockdown where everybody can do it, we're going to make it really short now because not a lot of people can benefit from it. Well, that would disadvantage Manchester United if they shortened it to a month. So I don't want to see that happening. Talking about transfers, the manager of Birmingham, I forget his name, has been talking about Bellingham and basically saying that, look, if football comes back, they expect to see quite a bit of competition for him. What do I think about that? I don't agree. I think that Jude Bellingham is going to go to Manchester United, Dortmund or Chelsea. I think he will go to one of those 3 clubs. You can always get somebody coming in late. I mean, I remember Roy Keane was going to Blackburn Rovers. He'd agreed the deal with Blackburn Rovers. He'd spoken to Kenny Dalglish and agreed the deal with Blackburn Rovers. He obviously hadn't signed the deal, and United just swooped in and nicked him in what is probably one of the most iconic swoop-in late deals we've ever done as a football club, because if Roy Keane had gone to Blackburn Rovers did win the league around that time, and Keane would have made them an even better team than they were. And obviously Roy Keane at Manchester United made us win many titles and European, and he helped us win the massive part of us winning the European Cup in '99. So you can swoop in and do a late deal. And who's to say a Liverpool or a Man City couldn't swoop in and buy Bellingham? Why wouldn't they? I think he's a top quality potential player. But I think that Bellingham will be going to Manchester United or Dortmund or Chelsea. And I think it will be between United and Dortmund, to be honest. Because he's been to Carrington, he's had his tour of Chelsea, I think, and Dortmund as well. So he's going to make a choice out of those three clubs, because those three clubs are the clubs that have shown the interest earlier. And somebody swooping in late might turn his head. But I think what Birmingham are trying to do is they're trying to generate more interest. More interest means more money, and Birmingham City do need money. So I think that's what that's all about. Sancho finally going to get a trim, says Rayan. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Dortmund tomorrow, because I'm hoping that Sancho will actually start the game and we'll get to see a little bit of him, because at the moment he just doesn't look match fit, and I think that's, for some reason, that seems to have caused concerns in the fan base that he's not quite good enough, which is just a nonsense. He's a fantastic player, and he's just not playing very well at the moment. He's not very fit. Hi Mark, if United have 150 million, who will you buy? Says Joe Mills Hogg. 150 million, Jadon Sancho for about 80, Bellingham for about 20, and Werner for about 50. There you go. Very easy question to answer. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching live. Mark, what do you think about... I've never heard of him, so I can't even say the name. Would you take Edouard from Celtic, says Kartik? I'd take him over Josh King and Ighalo, yeah. Yeah, I would. I think he's better than those two, with a lot more... well, obviously, he's a lot younger than both of those as well, so he's got more potential as well. When's the next Premier League meeting? I would imagine it's next week, Mr. Beast. And what do you think of the Real Madrid swap deal, says Matt C. If it's the one we spoke about the other night, it's a no from me. Pogba for Odegaard, Diaz, Valverde and Rodriguez. No. It's too many attackers that aren't good enough for a player that's very important to us. Your opinion on Sancho being unfit, can it be seen as unprofessionalism, says Manu. No, because look at the pictures of Scott McTominay with his six-pack, and look at the pictures of old De Bruyne walking in with a six-pack. I mean, footballers are like humans, because they are humans. Because you have a 2-month off and you try and do work on your treadmill, and you're not playing 90-minute games 3 or 4 times a week, including real games and training. You take that away, doesn't matter how much you're doing on your treadmill, it's match fitness, it's high-end peak fitness, and you will start... Some bodies are different. Jesse Lingard has got I'll tell you what, Jesse Lingard actually could make an impact, because I always say this about Lingard. On the tour, when we go on tour, Lingard's normally one of our best players. Not because he is one of our best players, because he's naturally fit. He's always been naturally fit. So when he comes back for pre-season, some players take a few weeks to get back to peak fitness, and Lingard doesn't. So different bodies, different things. Like Sancho's obviously a player that needs to be training all the time to keep physical fitness. And I would say De Bruyne is another one, looking at him. Wayne Rooney was a prime example of this. But some players don't. Some players, like look at Scott McTominay and others, they can keep a natural level of fitness. And age is very important in that. And obviously Sancho being young, you would think, well, maybe. But it's all about body types. Wayne Rooney was always like that, from 16 all the way through. So age doesn't matter. It's about your makeup of your body, isn't it? Some people can stay more naturally fit than others. And like I say, doing a few press-ups and running on your treadmill is different to going into training every day and playing competitive high-end football and coaching. So, no, I don't have any worry about that. It's just different bodies have different ways of, staying fit, don't they? And there might be an element of laziness in there when you're at home, but I don't think we can sort of level that. CK Bang says Sancho's overrated. I think your comment's overrated, to be honest with you. I think, look, watch the video that we put up this week about Sancho, the one where I narrated it. And whether you want to believe he's overrated or not, his stats stack up as one of the best players in Europe over 2 years. And he's been doing that as a teenager. So how can he be overrated? He's not potential like Greenwood or Martinelli. He's actually done it in one of the world's best leagues and the Champions League, statistically and visually. So I don't see how you can say he's overrated unless you are bitter. Bernardeschi is linked to Manchester United. Your thoughts, says Shivan. I mean, Bernardeschi plays for Juventus. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything in that. I liked Bernardeschi. He was at Fiorentina before he went to Juventus. And I remember talking about him then. He's a very talented player. But we are being offered him because Juventus want Pogba. And why do we want Bernardeschi? If we're getting Sancho, we don't need Bernardeschi. So we are basic. In essence, Bernardeschi's a good player, but he's not Jadon Sancho. So if we took Bernardeschi, we're basically getting a player that's worse than the player we want to let a player we don't want to go. So Bernardeschi to Manchester United as part of a Pogba deal doesn't make any sense because we want Sancho and we want to keep Pogba, some of us. So no, I don't want that deal to happen, even though I think Bernardeschi's a good player. If you could buy Alphonso Davies, would you? Says Jordan P. 100%. Yeah, I think he's a fantastic player. I think if you had a Wan-Bissaka and Alphonso Davies, you'd have the two best fullbacks in the world. Liverpool fans might have something to say about that, but I think Alphonso Davies is a fantastic left back. I think he's going to be the best left back in the world very soon. And yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat. With Haaland out for tomorrow, who do you think plays striker for Dortmund, Sancho or Goetz? Says Kelt Houseland. I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I will be doing a watch along for that on Mark Goldbridge. That's football, and I may well do a Bayern game, the Bayern game tonight as well. So make sure you join me on Mark Goldbridge. That's football for that. Werner is better than Dembele, says Ake. I agree. And apart from Sancho and Werner, who has impressed you in the Bundesliga? I think Kimmich has impressed me, even though he's a good player. I don't watch a lot of Bundesliga football, so it's been nice to watch it and see some of these players do well. I think that, I mean, look, Kai Havertz, fantastic player. We all know that as well. Hakimi at Dortmund is fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. I think Dawood at Dortmund as well. I mean, I've watched more of Dortmund than everybody else. So yeah, there's a few players there, which doesn't surprise me. And Mark, what do you think about? No, I'm not going to talk about that. Pogba for Muller or Pogba for Dybala? Neither. NS. No, I wouldn't want either of those. And buy Bellingham and loan to Dortmund, and we get Sancho for a cheaper price, says Mr. Beast. If only it was that easy. I mean, we could offer them Gomez for a year. I'd be happy for Angel Gomez to go to Dortmund for a year. A lot of Real Madrid's best players are actually on loan. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't think we need a left back. No, the legends. If I was offered Alphonso Davies, I'd take him, but I don't think we do need a left back. No. Darshan, I didn't see that, but I can have a quick look at that while we're live. Apparently, there's been a tweet from Fabrizio Romano. I mean, it could be a load of bollocks, to be honest, because I normally do see them. But let me have a quick look and see if we've got anything on it. Please smash a like on the video while I'm just doing this, by the way. And we will be live tonight. It's probably going to be a 7 o'clock show tonight, or 7:30 again, actually. If I'm going to watch the Bayern game, I might just go straight after that. No. Okay, yeah, so Romano said that Liverpool 2 weeks ago asked time to Leipzig for Timo Werner. The two clubs are not in official talks yet, but Liverpool are still Werner's priority. He spoke with Klopp many times and will wait Liverpool. He'd consider other bids only if Liverpool decide to give up. So that's from Fabrizio Romano. That's quite a big statement from him about that. I'd missed that one, so thank you for drawing our attention to that. Look, again, it's not something that... I mean, it makes it sound like the person I talk to is Fabrizio Romano. It definitely isn't. But I said this 2 weeks ago, was it, on a Monday? Or maybe it was this Monday, I can't remember. I said that I'd been told that Manchester United do want Timo Werner. They're very interested in Timo Werner. But they've got to take it on board that he may want to go to Liverpool. And Liverpool are the favourites. And That is basically what Romano's saying there. That, look, I suspect, and I think we know that Liverpool and Werner are close and that Werner wants to go there, but it doesn't mean that United can't do the deal. And I think for a player of that quality, you've got to hang in around that deal. What I did find interesting is another thing that Romano tweeted last night was that Icardi's going to go to PSG for about £40 million. Well, to me, that shows two things. One, that money will be spent in this transfer window, and two, that the market has deflated. Because Icardi, I think, is about mid-20s now, maybe a little bit older. £40 million or £50 million for Icardi regardless of contract or how volatile he is, that's still a lot less than you would have paid for Icardi, I think, a year or two ago. And obviously some of that will be to do with his reputation and Inter don't want him. But I still think that shows that the market will drop a little bit, and also that money can be spent. And as Notorious Nerd says, Icardi at 40 million I think is an absolute steal. I would take him at United for that. I think this is the reason Ollie played Pogba next to McTominay is because he thought he was going to get Bruno and prepared for that. And that's the midfield we'll play in the future, thoughts, says Hooray. I think Pogba, McTominay and Bruno is a really exciting midfield. I also think Matic, Fred and Bruno's good. And I think that, Matic, Pogba and Bruno's good. I think as long as it's got Bruno in it, I think it works. But I think Matic, Fred, McTominay and Pogba are battling for 2 spots. And 4 players, how do you drop 2 of those? Because I think they've all got a right to start. Pogba's probably got the least right to start because he's been injured. But he's probably the best. Well, he is the best. So it's going to be very interesting. Right, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Lots discussed there. And we will be back again tonight. Probably won't be an 8 o'clock show tonight. It'll be about 7:30, so half an hour early. So keep an eye. I'll set the stream up early so you can figure out what time it's going to be. But we will be live again tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. Really do have a good day out there because it's going to be lovely and hot in most of, in the UK it will. And remember, it's the summertime, so you could get yourself a t-shirt. See what I've done there? Links in the video description. We've got the 1999 t-shirt there. We've got the Martial, the Bruno top. We've got jumpers, and then I had that on for Cooking with Goldbridge. Adored, Class of 92, 1999. Lots of t-shirts there. Links in the video description. We are shipping worldwide, and if you want to get one, there is the link in the video description for you. Lovely for the summer. I've always got one on. Obviously not at the moment, but thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all later, and speak to you in a bit.